What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this, I want to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with earnings involved in the markets, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just about 3 weeks. Anyways, for NIO had this nice looking rejection off this $6 area, a little bit above that. And this thing ended up forming a head and shoulders like structure. So I said in my video yesterday, expect some downside likely for today. And as a result, NIO is down 5.26%. So we did get the move to the downside. But the question is, what's going to happen to the market moving forward? What is my prediction for how things are going to develop? So as a reminder, tomorrow is Thursday, May 9th, 2024. 1 hour before the market opens, we have initial jobless claims coming out. At 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we also have the 4-week and 8-week bill auctions coming out. And we also have Daly from the Fed giving a speech at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's pretty much it for data. Most of the data after the market opens is kind of minor. The bill auctions could cause some moves here and there, and initial jobless claims might cause somewhat of a move. So we'll see what that looks like, at least for tomorrow. For earnings, I just want to remind you all that today is Wednesday. We just had ARM and Airbnb, also AMC and a few others, but that's still coming out. For Thursday, we have Roblox and a few others, but looking at ARM, overall, their annual revenue forecast fails to impress investors, and the shares are down quite a bit despite what they ended up doing for earnings. So earnings overall were not too bad, but their forecast was very, very weak. That's why the share price is quite down for ARM. And for Airbnb, they're beating earnings expectations for the first quarter, but they offer weaker than expected guidance. This is happening all over the place. We're seeing a lot of companies with weak guidance. We're starting to see earnings kind of contracting a bit, and this is part of why we're seeing kind of like different projections. So EPS was a beat, revenue was a beat at 2.14 billion, so they beat on all of that. But they also mentioned that their revenue for the second quarter will be between 2.68 to about $2.74 billion. Analysts were expecting at least 2.74 billion. So their overall expectations is a little bit below what we were expecting. So that's part of why the share price is actually down a bit. That's why Airbnb is sinking in the after hours. Weak guidance once again. As far as NIO goes, we have some big news that came out. NIO signed a strategic cooperation agreement on charging and swapping in China. The two will engage in comprehensive and in-depth strategic cooperation in areas related to charging and swapping. And that's going to be very, very useful for them. So that's GAC. That's what the company is known as. The Chinese name is a little hard for me to say, so I'm not going to say it, but it's just known as GAC Group. So NIO and GAC became partners on charging and swapping. It's very important for us to go over this and remember the importance of these partnerships. NIO is working very hard to improve their charging infrastructure, their battery swapping technology, and things just like that. So we had a lot of good news that came out. Despite that, we still got some neutral ratings from Maguire, and the price price ratio is dipping a bit as NIO is losing some strength. When it comes to seasonality, we're only green about 50% of the time on Thursday, so it's kind of 50-50. We tend to see more volatility at 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and also during the final hour of the day. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that we have some more data that was released. When it comes to our volume, we had about 55 million in volume, a little bit below average. And there's not really a whole lot else going on right here when it comes to the price versus short volume. So for NIO, as a reminder, guys, NIO got this big rejection, a nice topping candlestick at the $6 area. We kind of rejected right here, and we're kind of dipping a little bit more. So we're at our 200 EMA. And if we lose this, I do think that NIO could fill this and bounce all the way down to about 4.78. Looking at the head and shoulders, we are turning a bit more bearish on the 4-hour time frame, and there is actually a good chance that this is going to continue. So the share price is looking a bit more bearish to me. Tomorrow, we might actually rebound, retest 5.3, eventually make our way down all the way down towards this 5.02 area. So that's something very, very important. As far as SPY goes, SPY, in my personal opinion, is once again in a very, very interesting place. We are losing bullish momentum right now, but we have this nice range that has been developed. We have support at 515, resistance at 518. If we break past 518, then this could break out towards 520 plus for another temporary push. If we lose 515, we're going to be bearish and dropping all the way down to 512. We'll be watching to see which way it breaks. Otherwise, it's just range bound for now. But let me just call out that the VIX is in the 12s again. Usually when the VIX is all the way down in the 12s, it does tend to bounce. It's usually only there for about a week. So this suggests that a rejection on SPY is very probable. It could take another week, though. It could take some time, but we're just going to be very patient with this and just be unbiased when it comes to our analysis. So just wait and see how it ends up developing. The QQQ is in the same boats, just like SPY. So basically, the QQQ is looking like it's potentially topping over here. It's looking a little bit weaker than SPY to me. We have resistance at about 441. We have support at 439. If we lose that, there's going to be a bigger dip all the way down to 437 again. So I do see potential for this to actually turn a little bit more bearish. It is looking a bit weaker to me. So I'll watch and see just to be safe. If the QQQ gets that rejection, we start testing our 436.5 to 437 support. Technicals do look a bit more bearish for it, but as of right now, it's in this range. So watch and see which way we break just to see what the bigger move is. For Tesla has actually dropped. We did call this drop yesterday to end up filling our gap. And what happened was we had a lot of bearish news about US prosecutors looking into Tesla. There's potential fraud claims being made because of how they advertise their FSD. There's been a lot of talk about the NHTSA also requesting more data for Tesla, more layoff news and things like that, which are very negative. Tesla ended up rejecting off our 50 EMA. So if we break the 50 EMA at 175, we could actually push all the way up to 177 and eventually 179. If we end up rejecting off 175, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 172 and eventually 170. That's where we have that gap to fill. Tesla to me is looking a bit more bearish from a technical standpoint. It does look like it could actually dip down and retest 172. But just to be safe, we'll see what happens for tomorrow. We're looking a bit more bearish from a technical standpoint, so we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. For Apple to me is looking a little bit stuck within this range. So we have resistance currently at 183.5 and we have support at 181.36. We've been stuck going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And if we end up losing 181.36, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 180. So if we end up losing support, we could dip lower. So we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But I want to be very, very open-minded about everything. So, in my personal opinion, we'll wait and see which way it goes. It's just kind of range bound right now, kind of choppy. So, I think Apple's going to continue to just be range bound. And we'll see if we end up dipping down to 180 or not. But I predict we're just going to be range bound for the time being. And then, last but not least, for Nvidia, before I end the video, Nvidia is looking a little bit weaker. We did get a little rejection right here off resistance. We're still within this typical range, which is between 908 as resistance and 892 as support. The two yellow lines you see, we've been stuck within this range for a couple of days. So, if we lose support, I do see a risk of this coming down to about 892. Losing this opens the doors for 885. And then there is a risk of it dipping a little bit, but as of right now, it looks to me like it's going to be stuck in this range and maybe dip later. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. With that being said, that is it, at least for the main five. Looking at NIO, in my personal opinion, the 4 hours looking a bit more bearish. I think we're going to be testing our 200 EMA at $5. So look for a little rebound to 5.3, then eventually $5 is coming for a little rejection. With that being said, I really just want to say I appreciate every single one of you for listening. Please have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for listening and peace out.